So if you're thinking about upgrading your computer for photo work, timing matters more than ever right now. So today I'm going to walk you through what you actually need to know to make the best choices when choosing your computer hardware, especially when you're using that computer to manage your photo collection. Hey, I'm Mark Erickson. I'm a digital photography support specialist and a certified member of the Photo Manager organization. I help people design systems that work for photo management, whether it's scanning family prints, working as a photographer, or maybe serving clients as a photo organizing specialist. Today, here's what we're going to be covering. First, the platform transitions and why they're creating a sense of urgency, and then what specifications actually matter for photo work. And finally, I've got a simple framework to help you make your decisions. So let's start with Windows. The situation's a little bit more urgent because Windows 10 support has just ended. And that means that Windows 10 users are not going to be getting any more security updates, which means that your system is at increased risk. Here's the frustrating part. Many Windows computers that can run Windows 10 perfectly well cannot upgrade to Windows 11. And it's not about performance. It's about specific hardware requirements. Systems from 2016, 2017 often hit this wall. Now, Microsoft has offered the extended security updates as a bridge, but it's only a bridge. It costs $30 for consumers, and you only get that for 1 year. So it's not a destination. It's not a solution that you can rely on for the future. It's going to expire sometime in late 2026. So if you're on Windows 10 now, you really need to start making a plan. So Mac users, you've got a little bit more of a runway. macOS 26 Tahoe was just released by Apple, but it's the last version that is going to support Intel Macs. So if you need to check which Mac you have, you can go up to the Apple menu in the upper left-hand corner of your menu bar and check there. And we'll put a link in the show notes to a page on the Apple website that lists all the compatible versions for Mac OS 26. So here's what both of these transitions have in common. Systems that work perfectly well are losing security updates and software compatibility. But the good news is that you've got a little bit of time to thoughtfully plan rather than making panicked buying decisions. On top of these platform transitions, AI is reshaping our software demands. Until recently, AI features mostly happen in the cloud. That's shifting. Software vendors are building in AI capabilities to work right on your machine, right in your photo applications. Why local? Well, you get faster results. You also get better privacy. You're not sending client data off to some server who knows where. And all of these features are going to work well without the internet. And there's not going to be extra cloud costs, and you're not going to have to worry as much about having a high-speed internet connection. But here's what most people don't understand about AI. AI workloads don't scale the same way as traditional tasks. More cores or RAM doesn't automatically mean that you're going to get faster AI processing. These workloads depend on specific subsystems, particularly graphics processors and dedicated AI hardware. We'll get into the specifics in a minute, but the key point is that hardware from 2 to 3 years ago it wasn't designed for what AI is requesting of it now. That's why the 2025 upgrade cycle seems a little bit more significant than the typical refresh that we might do. All right, let's get into some specifics about both PC and Mac systems. Neither approach is better or worse. It just affects how you are going to make your decisions. So the Apple approach is unified and integrated. Apple Silicon, M1 through M5 chips bring everything together in one integrated chip. The processor, the graphics, the AI processing, they all share the same memory pool. You can kind of think of this as like a kitchen that has a central workstation. Depending on what station you're working on, all the ingredients are right there at the same location. This makes Macs incredibly efficient. Their power consumption is much less, they're super quiet, but here's the trade-off. You can't upgrade anything for the life of your machine. So memory, storage, graphics capability, whatever you buy, that's it until you get a new computer. Now, PCs approach this very differently. They're modular and flexible. PCs maintain separate components. The processor, the graphics cards, the memory, each of them, they've got their own resources. Think of this in the same kitchen, but rather than a central ingredient station, each station has their own sets of ingredients. This creates a little bit more overhead, but it also creates a little bit more flexibility. So that said, that's true for tower PCs, but for laptops, you have the same issue with Macs, that all the components are soldered together. So if you're buying a PC laptop, you're making a decision for the life of that computer. But if you're buying a tower, you can upgrade components over time in a much more flexible approach. All right, so why does all this matter? Well, it's going to change the way that you budget and plan for your purchases. Mac users, you need to get your configuration right at the start. You can't change your components later. PC users, you could buy in now and plan to upgrade components over time. If you're on a PC laptop, however, you're kind of stuck just like you were on a Mac. If you're finding this video helpful, go ahead and hit the like button now. It'll help other people find this video. And if you haven't already subscribed, go ahead and subscribe now. We have tons of how-to videos and other super helpful content for anybody who is working with photo organization. Okay, let's start to break down the 4 key components and what actually matters for photo work. Let's talk about memory first, or RAM. This is your computer's short-term memory. It's how much you can juggle at once. For Mac users, this is your most critical decision because you can't upgrade later. 24 gigabytes is a comfortable baseline for most photo management work. 32 gigabytes is a good standard if you're doing heavy editing or video processing. Because of that unified architecture that I mentioned before, Mac uses its memory much more efficiently, so you can often do more with less as opposed to a PC system. For PC users, start at 32 gigabytes minimum. PC systems have separate pools for system memory and graphics memory, so you need more total overall. Now, remember, you can always upgrade later, but make sure that you understand the upgrade paths for your RAM. If you're on a PC laptop, the probability is that you won't be able to upgrade like you can with a desktop system. So let's talk about CPUs, or the central processing unit. This is the engine of your computer. For Macs, the chip tier matters more than the generation. Apple Silicon uses 2 types of cores: efficiency cores and performance cores. They handle different functions, and your computer determines which one it uses for what tasks. There are 4 basic tiers in the Apple Silicon chips. There's the base model, the Pro model, the Max model, and the Ultra model. Base M series models handle photo management really well. Pro tier adds more power for intensive multitasking operations, video processing, and a larger catalog work. Max and Ultra, that's probably more than most photo managers will need, and those systems are priced accordingly. The new M5 has dedicated neural processing hardware in it, specifically for AI workloads. Here's the thing though, the M2 and the M3, still really great machines, and for a lot of photo management work, they'll be more than adequate. So for PC users, AMD and Intel are your go-to processors. Look for the 12th generation Intel or newer, or the Ryzen 5000 series or newer as your baselines. Now, remember, a little budget tip, you can go with a slightly older generation and get a separate GPU unit, and that will give you good base processing power, but give you snappy AI performance. So let's talk about graphics processing units, GPUs. This is where things get interesting. They weren't designed originally for AI computations, but it turns out they're really good at it. And more photo processing units are relying on powerful GPU units. For Macs, your GPU is built into the chip, so there is no upgrading later. And this is where you're going to want to think about which model you choose within the series. So if you're doing a lot of video and AI enabled processes, think about a pro level chip. For PCs, you've got great choices here. Since the GPU is not integrated in the chip, you can always upgrade to an external GPU later and plug it in and get real snappy AI performance. Look for 8 gigabytes of video memory as a benchmark for a GPU. So let's talk about storage. And the good news here is this is where you have a lot of budget flexibility. For both PCs and Macs, you're going to want to get an internal SSD for your system. This is where your operating system and your applications live. Look at a minimum of 512 megabytes to 1 terabyte as good baselines for this. External drives, this is where you have a lot of flexibility as well. Thunderbolt and USB 4 connections are just as fast. They're almost as fast as an internal drive. You can use external SSDs for your active project work and traditional spinning hard disk drives for archives and backups. So let's think about a quick budget framework. Just to give you some ranges, a good system is going to cost you between $1,200 and $1,500. A system in this range is going to give you great performance for basic photo organizing, cataloging, and moderate editing. For a little bit more money, in the $1,800 to $2,500 range, you're going to get a system that's really capable for heavy editing, AI, batch processes, transcoding video. And if you spend more than $3,000, well, that's really where you're getting into maximum performance. That's if you're doing a lot of video editing and a lot of batch processing and AI-enabled features. Remember, this is just for the computer. Budget for peripherals, software, and storage, that can often add as much as 30 to 40% of your total cost. As a secondary criteria, think about what you do day to day and match your workflow to your budget. You don't need to spend $3,000 if you're doing just basic organizing and cataloging. Be honest about what you actually do, not what you might do someday. Let me give you a real simple 4-step solution process, and all of this are in the documents that we've prepared for you. There's a PDF that's a simplified version, just 3 pages, and we've got a really extensive document that lives in Google on a Google Doc that goes into depth in all of these things. The links for both of those are in the video description. Step 1, consider, are you going to stay with your current system or are you going to switch? Look, the truth is both PCs and Macs are extremely capable. So the reality is you're probably going to stay within the ecosystem you already are in. Some people like to consider the alternatives. But remember, there's a lot of hidden costs. Muscle memory, software licenses, and the way your system plugs together, it may be different and it may take some getting used to. So step 1, are you transitioning or are you staying with your system? Step 2, timing. Should you buy now or wait? You might want to buy now if your system is failing and it's not performing well. However, you can wait if your current system is working fine. You may want to wait for some new models that are coming out. The M5 Pro and the Max, they're coming out later next year. And new PC graphics cards are rolling out all the time. Also look for when new models are being released, because often retailers want to flush out their inventory channels, and that's a great time to buy. Step 3, workflow priorities. Be honest about what the work that you're doing now really requires. Are you just photo organizing? You don't need to spend that much money. You don't need the latest and greatest. However, if you're doing a lot of video transcoding and a lot of AI processing, think about those needs and think about what system is going to best support that level of work. Match your system to your actual workflow. Step 4, take a look at your complete budget. Don't just factor the machine, but factor in displays, keyboards, docking stations, all your peripherals, software licenses, even possibly an extended warranty. The computer is often only 60 to 70% of your total cost. The last thing I want to mention is just thinking about this upgrade cycle that we're on. We're always going to be needing to upgrade our systems. The rough rule of thumb is 5 to 7 years. But with AI transitioning into more local workflows rather than cloud-based things, there's a lot unknown there. So you really want a system that's going to give you a good level of performance for the next few years before you have to think about what comes next. Again, we've got those 2 documents available for you. There's a 3-page PDF that has a simplified version of all of this. We focus in on PC and Mac systems with the 4-step buying guide. And then there's that Google document, which goes into way more detail. Both of those links are in the video description below. This has been a lot of information. I hope it's been helpful for you. Remember, check out those 2 documents. And leave some comments below. I will try to monitor this video and answer your questions as best as I can. But thanks again for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.